So now that the iPhone 15 Pro has just come out, I think that it's safe to say that so far, it's a pretty good upgrade. Now, the iPhone 15 Pro is a very interesting phone to me because it's basically everything that I wanted the 14 Pro to be. It has a smoother software, supports USB-C, got rid of the fingerprint magnet stainless steel, and corrected almost everything that I complained about on my 14 Pro. And I will say that the 15 Pro left a great impression on me. My first day experience has been very smooth, and I only ran into one problem that, just like the iPhone 14 series, has carried its way over to the iPhone 15 series as well. But before I go more in depth with my first impression and problem that I faced with my iPhone 15 Pro, the first thing that we have to do is unbox it. Now, the first thing that I noticed when I was unboxing my 15 Pro was that, just like last year's iPhone 14 Pro, you have the very clean white aesthetic that also looks identical to my iPhone 15 box. On the front, we can see a picture of the iPhone that basically shows which color version you have, along with a very nice wallpaper. On the right and left side of the box, there's the iPhone wording. On the top and bottom, we have the Apple logos. And on the back, we have all the additional info about your phone. Now, the first thing that we see when we take the top off of the box is the 15 Pro itself. And I will say that it has the same nice size to it, along with a pretty nice feel. On the back, we have the nice titanium finish that feels very similar to the matte that we're used to. And we also have the glossy Apple logo with the new titanium size that will result in less fingerprints. Also, we have the same style camera bumps that look pretty much the same. You have the main, telephoto, and ultra wide camera, and I will be showing you guys some more pictures later on in this video. On the right side of the phone, we have the power button along with a 5G antenna. On the left side, we have volume rockers and a mute switch. And last but not least, on the bottom, we have our brand new USB-C port, mics, and speakers. And when we look at the screen, we can see the 6.1-inch display that pretty much feels the exact same as the iPhone 14 Pro. Another thing that I noticed was that the iPhone 15 Pro series feels much more rounded and less sharp compared to last year. The edges feel very nice and it feels much more comfortable in hand. Now, the last thing that we have in the box of the 15 Pro is our starter guide booklet, a nicely braided USB Type-C cable, and again, there's no charger in the box. Now, the iPhone 15 Pro has 4 different colors in its catalog, and this year, there's more uniform colors. You have black, white, natural, and blue titanium. And the version that I have is blue titanium, and as you can see, it looks really good. The dark yet colorful aspect, along with the color coordinated titanium rails, give it a good amount of depth, and I really admired that it had that continuity all around. Even when we take it outside, we can see that it looks very premium while also giving off a nice clean look that I think many people will enjoy. And again, I really loved how it had the titanium sides that were the exact same color and continued that clean, colorful aesthetic of the phone. The titanium finish will give you fingerprints, but nowhere near as much as the stainless steel like last year. It also really helps so that you don't have to worry about cleaning it constantly, since titanium can be cleaned off with a shirt. And quick disclaimer, don't use your shirt to wipe fingerprints from your display. Now, the iPhone 15 Pro has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR display that I will say was very amazing, and based off of my first impression, it was vibrant, the quality was good, and it did good, so I was pretty satisfied with it. And the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the screen is the dynamic island feature notch. Now, when it comes to the dynamic island notch, it's just like last year, and even though it doesn't get me as hype, it still works really well, and I hope that iOS 17 improves the bugs that many people were talking about. But other than that, dynamic island is nothing but a pretty helpful feature whenever you want to play music and change the song quickly, whenever you want to use GPS, or if you want to know who's calling you. It's very helpful, and it's holding up very well since I got my 15 Pro. Now, the USB-C is a great addition. Funny story, but last night, I was extremely mad because I couldn't find my Apple charger, but then I realized that the iPhone 15 series takes USB-C, and I basically spent an hour looking for a charger that wasn't even compatible with it. Moving on to the next new feature, the 15 Pro also comes with a new action button that allows you to map it to any function that you want. All you have to do is set it up, and once you do, you long press it to make it work. You can use it to activate your flashlight, access your camera, add a shortcut, and even do a recording on the spot, which was pretty cool. The 15 Pro also comes with an A17 Pro chip that still feels very identical to last year. I played power heavy games on it, and to be honest, it does run incredibly smooth, but it's still very similar to last year. Now, getting back to the display, the next thing that I loved about the 15 Pro was the fact that Apple improved the always on display to be not so bright, and this has been improved with every other iPhone, but I still like to remind everyone of how bright it was on last year's model. The 15 Pro's display also has Pro Motion, which means that you'll have a 120 Hz refresh rate within the display. So basically, whenever you're scrolling through your phone, it'll feel much more smoother than the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, since those phones are 60 Hz. Again, I really like the fact that the size was perfect, but it still has smaller bezels to give it a slightly better visual experience. It wasn't too big and it wasn't too small, so I really liked how it felt. The display was very responsive. Everything that I clicked on and moved responded very quickly, and I would say that overall, it felt pretty much the same as the iPhone 14 Pro, but that's a really good thing. Now the 15 Pro also has iOS 17, and so far it's very smooth. I like the ability to share context by just putting the top of your phones together. The standby feature looks great, but I don't really see myself using it too much, and the contact card editor felt very immersive. Now when it comes to the build quality on the iPhone 15 Pro, I would say that when compared to phones in this price range, it is the best feeling and looking phone. The Pro has ceramic shield, which basically means that in most cases, if you do drop it a few times, then most likely it won't break. But personally, I've experienced iPhone's terrible scratch resistance, so I would say still stay protected. Now when it comes to physicality, the iPhone 15 Pro has a height of 5.77 inches, a width of 2.78 inches, and weighs about 187 grams, and it feels pretty light to me. And right here, you can see how well it fit into my hands. It's perfect if you have big hands like me, and even if your hands are smaller, it's much more manageable than the 6.7 inch iPhone 15 Pro Max, and you'll still be able to reach your fingers to the top of the screen. And even when you put it in your pockets, it feels like the average phone, and if I'm being honest, this is a size that I think a lot of people will like. Now the iPhone 15 Pro has a 48 megapixel main camera, along with a 12 megapixel ultra wide and telephoto camera, and I was really excited for the camera aspect because if you guys didn't know, the iPhone 15 Pro now has a 5x zoom, which looked pretty great. Again, iPhones have always been pretty great in the camera department, and the zoom photos are no different. And when we look at the daytime outside photos, we can see that it looks as amazing as the previous versions, but this time things are even sharper, and the sharpness, colors, and vibrancy was at its peak. The selfie camera was pretty much the same as last year if I'm being honest. My selfies still look amazing, especially when the lighting is right, and I didn't experience any yellowing like on previous models. And now when we look at the daytime inside photos, I was very happy that it still looked really good, and whether the lighting was or wasn't good, the photos still came out nice. And I also got to take some photos at night. Everything looked very clean. I took pictures in a place with great lighting, so it really helped a lot. But just like last year, night mode photos are looking really good. And I also wanted to give you guys an example of how the phone records video before I gather my final thoughts about it in my final review. And now when we look at additional specs of the iPhone 15 Pro, it has the all-new A17 Pro Bionic chip. It has storage starting from 128 gigs and goes up to 1 terabyte of storage. It has a 3200 milliamp hour battery that supports 29 watt charging, and it has an IP68 dust and water resistance rating. And there it is, you guys, my review of the iPhone 15 Pro. Now stay tuned for more because I have a weekly update on the Pro where I will be going more into detail with how it holds up. But let me know down in the comments, do you guys think that I should do a day in the life on the iPhone 15 Pro? Let me know. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Child continues